Okay, so today we're going to talk about blogging, huh?
Absolutely.
We're
Something
busting
that we
myths.
love.
Yeah, absolutely. We love blogging and we get so many questions about that we just thought we should sit down and talk about blogging.
Because, I think a lot of people do keep asking us, what is a blog and what does a blogger do?
And we love talking also, so this both sort of adds
Makes
up.
sense, yes. So what does a blogger do? Let's tell
I don't know. I mean, if we were to talk about our own selves, I think blog is just a very personal perspective and you kind of put it online.
Yeah.
So
It's like a diary, really.
It's really like a diary. And I think a lot of people do ask us, how do you build a sort of following over time? And I think that really comes from having a perspective. Because there's no point, I mean, like if you want to have some sort of following, you need to have a point of view.
And plus you have to be consistent because, if you're just talking about something and then the next time when you're talking about the same thing and you're not sounding like yourself,
you can't keep swaying.
People can pick loopholes and then they don't listen to you. They don't really
Absolutely. So you have to have a point of view and you have to be consistent with it.
And you have to be consistent at work also. Because, once a month if you post something and then, you're just silent.
The thing is that, I mean, with us, I think we do about 2 posts a day and that's a very heavy frequency.
And
I mean,
that's
you don't have
hard
to go.
work.
But that's the thing. Like, there's blogging initially is fun and then I think just a 3-month itch probably is what you can call it, because as soon as you enter the 3rd month of working day and night, you're like, where's the fame?
Yeah, nothing's happening. Nobody's inviting me to parties now.
Exactly. So that's also a myth that I think we need to bust. I mean, it's not
if you want to start a blog just because you will be invited to parties and high-profile events, well,
not happening.
No, I think you should join a PR company. That would be better.
Absolutely, and not just that, but it's work even then.
Exactly. And then after 1 or 2, then you don't feel like going to them also.
So if you're at like the fashion week sitting, whatever you're doing, I mean, it's not like all fun and games as it seems. I mean, I think we're all brilliant at sort of projecting that it's happening. But at the end of the day, essentially you have one phone here, one phone here, one phone here.
A Wi-Fi device like this.
Wi-Fi, and there you are, and then the Wi-Fi is not working and everything. So blogging is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's constant work.
Yeah, it's constant work because I think it's come to a point like eventually as a blogger, when you evolve, you will see the world how you want to present it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you're all the time you're thinking about angles,
absolutely,
and words, and what am I going to say about this? What am I going to say about that? Yes. Okay. So
yeah, but
so that's one thing. If you want to be a blogger, you have to be ready for a lot of hard work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Consistency in terms of having an opinion and consistency of work. So that's very important. You need to sort of consistently churn out content that people would want to read about. So it's very important to be current. It's very important to have a point of view.
And how important do you think these days personal style for bloggers?
I think personal style blogging is huge generally, but I think the key for any blogger is to be approachable, I guess. Not approachable, but relatable.
Relatable, exactly.
I mean, it's great to be talking about brands and it's great to speak to that niche. So you can be a blogger who talks about like only the high-end brands.
Because if you wear only high-end brands, then that's what you know.
Yeah, and that's great. But what one discovers over time is that if you really want to have a mass appeal, then you really have to be honest. You don't have you can't pretend to be something that you're not.
Exactly.
I mean, and the second thing is that you have to be relatable. So people are interested in big brands, but they want to emulate a certain style aesthetic. So you should be able to sort of make that fashion approachable to them, not by brands, but kind of talking about trends where they can acquire the same kind of stuff, where they can get those looks.
And I think that's also one thing. Mostly the bloggers these days, they want to talk about fashion. Mostly. And I think that if you, for example, I love food. So, in our blog, sometimes you also see hints of that, where I go and eat and I talk about that. Or, fashion is, of course, one thing that we follow very ardently. But then movies is also one thing that we talk about. So, you need to have a spectrum also.
We usually disagree about it internally, movies.
Exactly.
Because we have all sorts of age groups.
Exactly. But still, it's a lot of fun still, and you give the readers something more than just talking about clothes.
So essentially, you need to know who you're talking to and what you want to talk to them about, and I think it just comes back to consistency again, because you want to write about something that you always want to write about. So in our case, we define it as things we love. So if it's food, we write about food. If it's fashion, we write about fashion. But then some people just love fashion a lot, and then
so it's really your own calling. It's about who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's definitely true. And I think one of the questions that sort of eventually comes down to it, because it's so much hard work, it's so much effort going into it, there's a cost to it, right?
What do you gain out of it? Perhaps I mean, we of course know that we do it for self-satisfaction. Some people do it for money, but yes, there is a cost involved when you're developing content.
Yeah, so obviously there's a cost of content, right? Because like in our case, for example, like obviously there's some bloggers who can do everything. In our case, we couldn't do it because most of us like either have day jobs or kids or everything. So we couldn't do everything. So what we did was over time we've collected like a team. So it's almost voluntary that everyone just comes together and does stuff. But it takes money, right? It takes money to do that, and that kind of leads to the commercialization question, because that's something that new bloggers always ask. That how will they end up making money out of it? And to be very honest, there's right now practically no money in blogging.
Yeah.
So do not come into blogging.
Do not give up your day job for blogging. Number one. And also,
okay,
I think
we're looking at our camera person here.
And also, I think the second most important thing about doing a bit of commercial content is that you should know the right fit between you and the brand that you're talking about or the product you're talking about.
To be honest, I mean, I think it's even unfair to call it commercial content, because I think it's almost become like a ganda sa word where you say, ye commercial content hai. I mean, for us, what we normally do, and I highly advise people to do that always, is that filter the people that you partner with, and then the money that you take is actually to develop content, right? So
yeah, you are not going to buy a Mercedes Benz with that money. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's, so inevitably, and for us, I mean, I don't think we've quite cracked it yet, but if I could simply say that blogs actually don't make money, bloggers do, and that's a Gareth Doré quote, by the way. And I love that because that's a French blog that I personally follow. And the thing is that she said that if you sort of start thinking of your blog as a money-making machine, you will eventually lose that authenticity.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course. And then, it's the person then that becomes the celebrity and, perhaps make a bit of money. But I don't think that blogs...
Yeah, because there's so many offshoots. Like we see some fabulous bloggers styling now, they're doing PR.
Absolutely. So it's all branches of the blog.
Exactly. It's about that network that you form with a blog. That's at the crux of it, that you can sort of diversify into this industry. And that's fabulous, but don't like go into it thinking कि बस अब blog बन गया, फलाने पैसे लेने हैं.
वारे न्यारे हो जाएंगे.
Yeah, as you can tell with the million diamonds that Amna's wearing
Forever
right now.
21. My favorite place to shop still.
इतने को वारे न्यारे नहीं होते. It's just a labor of love at the end of the day.
I think if you start a blog, you should just have a lot of fun with it. That is what's going to make you or break you as a blogger. If you're not having fun,
it shows. It
shows, and there's no point. Honestly.
Exactly. And I think that's really it. And this 3-month cycle, I honestly, if you're blogging, you will feel it. And if you survive on to about 6th month, then it'll just start coming to you naturally. It's one of those habits that you develop.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it.
And also, of course, it's really nice to see a lot of young people also coming into blogging. So I think we've busted some.
What do you mean young people coming into blogging? Young people are
of course like us, very young and happening and hip and cool. But
exactly. Like so folks, be true to your blogging. Write about what you love. Have fun. Yes,
it's not just about dressing up and going to parties. And
sometimes it is.
It is sometimes, yes. But also do a lot of reading and just stay in touch with things that are happening around, and it's just a lot. Just have fun.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Body advice. Have fun.